So why don't you explain to us Deferred Trust, how it all works? Because so many financial advisors, I have so many financial advisor friends, and I try to talk to them about the strategy, and they're just not really aware of it. So I think this is great for financial advisors, but most importantly, it's really good for business owners, because business owners should sell when it's right for them to sell, not because they're paralyzed out of fear because of increased taxes.
Absolutely, Michelle. Thanks so much. And so I like to start with kind of this premise, and then we'll work through what's called three perfect storms that are going on right now that I think every high net worth individual or business owner who's considering selling. And this is kind of the premise that most high net worth, highly appreciated business owners, they struggle with the capital gains tax, and it's somewhere between 30 and 50% of their gain. If Biden's proposal goes through, it could be 50 to 70% when they go to sell, or Michelle goes to help you sell that asset. And so we use a deferred sales trust, which we'll talk about what that is here in a minute, to give them tax deferral, the ability to sell their asset, to obviously defer that capital gains tax, defer some income tax, as well as move some of the funds outside of their taxable estate, all so they can create and preserve more wealth. And so let's dive into some of the challenges that are facing individuals right now. There's really three perfect storms. The first storm is what's called the demographic perfect storm, okay? And this is according to the American Bankers Association. They did a study, and they looked at this, basically all the numbers, the stats of all the wealth in America. And they found that there's really one major group that has the majority of the wealth, and that's the baby boomers. In fact, this study found that there's about $17 to $20 trillion that's going to pass from their generation to the next generation in the next 20 years or so. And it's known as the largest wealth transfer in the history of the planet. And in fact, there's about 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day, and there's about 77 million in the US alone. And there's three asset classes that are the most highly appreciated: private equity, which is businesses, commercial real estate, and high-end primary homes. And these illiquid assets, they want to sell, they want to diversify, and they want to defer the tax, right? But they feel trapped because a lot of old ways of doing things just don't fit what they're looking for, which is diversification, liquidity, right? And the ability maybe to go buy another business, or to put the money into some liquid assets, put some money into some real estate assets, but they feel trapped. So the second storm is the political storm, right? And so we touched on a little bit about this, but Biden is proposing some really big changes. And that first part of the political storm is the capital gains tax rate federally going from potentially 20 to about 40%. Okay, so instead of paying 30 to 50% in capital gains tax and depreciation recapture, it could be as high as 50 to 70%. Could you imagine that? You start a business, you're in it for $1 million, and let's imagine you're selling it for $10 million. It's a $9 million gain, and you have some depreciation recapture. 50 to 70% could be wiped out. That could be kind of paralyzing for folks. So they say, you know what? It's not even worth it. I'm not going to sell. Or let's say they have to sell, and now the majority of their wealth that they've built with that business is paid in tax. Now, do we think that's going to pass and be that high? Maybe not, but it's something to be prepared for. The second part of that storm is what's called the elimination or the reduction of the 1031 exchange. Now, business sales, by the way, and M&A deals, typically they're not even qualifying for 1031s. It's kind of not even really relevant, but that's just something to be aware of. And the last one is the part of the political storm is the elimination of potentially the stepped up basis, which that single one is the biggest potential wealth transfer from the individual and from families and from wealth in America to government that we might ever see in the history of the world, right? Because of the baby boomers and all of that. So do we think that's going to pass? Again, maybe not, but it's something to be aware of, because these are the things that are being looked at. So we want to find a solution to that. And the last one is the economic storm. It's just that valuations and prices are sky high. We believe it's a great time to sell, and we feel like we're in what's called the eye of the hurricane. Last year, it was kind of a wild COVID year, and we weren't sure where it was going to go, where things were at. Now it's like this peaceful storm. We feel like things are kind of calm again. We think there's another storm potentially coming, and valuations could change. I don't know. I can't predict those things, but stock market all-time highs, real estate all-time highs, and perhaps even businesses that are all-time highs. So we think it's a perfect time to be a seller, to get safety, to get tax deferral, to get diversification. And that's where the Deferred Sales Trust enters in.
You have just listened to another information-packed episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Swarts. We hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. Visit capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to access the show notes and to access more resources. Don't forget to leave a review and join us again next time.